Hello, this is a slight introduction in value so you understand what I'm talking about. And this is highlight, midtone, reflected light, shadow, core shadow, and cast shadow. And values, it mostly depends on local light. And it depends mostly on that. But I will show you what beginners tend to do when they paint values. They tend to use the lightest light, which is white, and the darkest dark, which is black. It comes as a bit odd when you do this because there's no midtone. There's nothing much what you can do with those two values, and unless you want to merge shapes like the one right there I done, but it's not very good to create a realistic painting. This is grayscale, which is desaturated, and I lowered the light a bit so you could see the light. This is midtone, highlights, and a bit more stuff you can see, which you see that divide, that's midtone and highlights. And everywhere around there's midtones and everything else. As you see, this is in color and this is in grayscale. So the first thing I've done is I've done the background, and then I've drawn the grapes, the pears, and everything else in it. And I started defining where the light should be, and that goes for everything else. I've done the grapes a bit darker because the grapes are usually dark, and that just makes it more easier for me to create shapes of a grape and get an idea of where everything's supposed to go, and really try to get my values correct, because it's very important. Because if you don't have your values correct, it could look weird, everything look wrong. So I started adding the midtones onto the pear and reflected light also. Everything else just cleaning up a little bit and try to do everything at once to make it look pretty and everything correct. I started adding darker shades. What this does, it creates depth into the painting and make it look real, a realistic kind of look. I started adding more light to these grapes, started to clean up a bit. I had trouble doing the lines, and I just used the value what was there and just did over it and used the highlight to over that. And this what created a bit more accurate looking to the painting. Added highlights to the grapes and more highlights to the grapes. I started adjusting the light on the grapes, but I just gave up on that because it was a bit difficult, and added more highlights to the bottom, added the stem, and created more highlights. And this is the end painting of what I've done. And I hope this video was educational, and I kind of didn't finish. I tried to squeeze 1 hour painting into this, so yeah.